Here's an overview of the LOGITECH G933, and this is the headset right here. Had a night to myself where I tried this out, see how well I like it. I played a couple games, did a few other settings. So right now it's turned off. So we're going to start by looking at briefly an overview of the software itself. So after you get this, you download the drivers on the website. It's more or less just a software. It's going to check for driver updates and so forth. I'm going to put this aside and we'll give a look at the software itself. So I'm just going to switch to a different view. This is generally the main view that you're going to see. So you have your headset. So right now it says to turn it on. So you're going to turn it on. There's a button right here. And it should flash. So now you see these colors is the settings I added. I changed myself. Don't really like it too bright, but I like a distinguished color. So what I find kind of neat about these colors here is if you're looking, let's say you have a bunch of friends over, and all of them, they all have headsets. So by having these different colors, each friend of yours can know which one's theirs, not be confused saying, oh well, this is mine, oh this is mine. At least with these colors, you can distinguish who's whose. So mine, I pick a color between more of an orange, so it goes from red to an orange. Let's go back to the software itself. So as you see, it's detecting the headset. So the other thing you want to do, when you want to do changes to your settings, you want to start by connecting it to the USB right here. This is one little feature that I don't really like because it's always a hard time. I always get a hard time trying to connect that in there. You have to get it right in there. That's one thing I don't like. It's the type of connector they decide to pick for the USB. So I always have a hard time getting that in there, and there's a bit of wear and tear already, just for one-day usage. Not sure if you can see that. Try and get it right in there. It needs to have maybe an X saying you have to put it this way or that way. Let's see. Let's have for a time. Okay, so when it's connected, it turns blue. In the software itself, it says it's connected. So if you were looking at the software itself, this option here allows you to change various buttons. So if you look real quick at various buttons, there's a couple of general settings by default. You have your mute mic right here, and then your other buttons that you can preset with these settings. That's set to the default settings. You have one cycle through the EQ, then the surround sound, then after that cycle effects. So the cycle effects is the colors. So the colors you see here and the glowing G. So just real quick, the glowing G is, there's a light right here, RGB light. So you can play around, set those a couple settings. What I did notice is that each buttons here, they're all seen as like a keyboard function on a computer. So when you click certain buttons, sometimes your game that you're playing is going to think you're switching to a keyboard. And on the command side, these are various commands you can set for each keys. So for the fun of it, you can actually make a macro. I'm not sure how much of an advantage that would give you setting up a macro, but there's some sort of macro you can create these buttons to, let's say, you want your guy to spellcast a particular thing. So let's say your spellcast key is number 1. You could drag that over. it over. So let's say this button here, and each time I press this top button right there, it's gonna see it as #1 key on the keyboard. And then always, I prefer on sound. I just prefer the surround sound. That's mainly the reason I'm going to use this for. And based on your settings, colors and so forth, it's going to give you an overview of how much battery your setup is going to generate. And the fun part here is the colors. So this is what I want to show you. So when I change these colors here, let's say go solid color, so you're looking at blue, and then as you see inside, this is your LED inside, and there's other compartments. So that's generally what it is. So you just get this stripe on the back and the LED on the side, and then you have your color cycle. And if, let's say, go custom lighting, you can create profiles. It's kind of like mini profiles for each color setting. So you can have, let's say I want green, and I want, let's say, color cycle, so go with 2 different colors. If I don't want a type of lighting effect, it could be a solid color. You can choose to have only the side showing up, or just a logo. And if you go through breathing effect, which is more or less just a it's going from light to bright. So let's repeat it real quick just to give you a quick idea of how it looks like. So play around with these settings and pick the one you prefer. I prefer this one here, the setting here. So I have my color that I prefer, and I don't really like the logo being lit on the side. I just prefer this strip, the sides here, to light up, and the brightness have it fairly low, so because I don't like it when it's too bright. So looking at the audio here, the overall color template I find for the software, it's fairly hard to see. Instead of a gray on a black, should be maybe a white. You know, for those people who have various color blindness or visual impairments, it's hard to set your headset. By default, it's set as flat. I prefer communication because it lowers your bass frequencies, which is one thing that I found really hurts the ear. It doesn't matter how loud it is. For some reason, it gives a pain in the ear after a while, a lower volume. And then what I find neat is the surround sound. So at this point, it's currently off because I pressed the surround sound button on the headset, which would be, I believe, this one right here. So as you can see, I pressed on it. By pressing on it, it enables the surround sound. I'm going to move my mouse out of the way and just show you again when I turn it off. So that's the difference. So I'm going to enable it, and here is regarding the sound waves when you're listening to very close drivers to your ear. Is the sub is not something you want very high. The reason for that is it muffles a lot of noises that you want to hear, and a lot of times it's just way too loud for a sub that's so close to your ear. And I found to give you a better surround sound is lower the front, center, and the right left. So in front of you and the right left, lower that down and slightly increase the other locations of the speakers per se to give you more of a surround sound effect. I've played around with these settings. There's various settings. Look at the ones that you prefer to be the best based on your preference of audio. This for me gave me more of a natural surround sound effect when I played certain games. And when you look back at the equalizer, I select communication because it lowers the bass area, which is another settings that I found the audio cause ache to your ears. Now here's another thing I want to try out. So we're gonna have the mic here. So you're listening at this current mic here. It's very low. I'm gonna switch it to the one for the headset. So let's start by taking this off. As you can see, this is a bunch of wires. I'm gonna unplug this so you won't hear me for a bit, and then I'm gonna activate the mic on the other one. So now you should be able to hear me much clearer. So it's coming out from this mic here. And one thing I did not like is when you press a button, you're going to hear it within the mic. So here's a demonstration. If I mute it, you should be able to hear that button noise. And if, let's say, I push a different button that doesn't do anything, so this is one thing I don't like about it is the mic picks up any buttons that you're pressing, so the vibration is passed through to the mic. So other than that, placement of the headset, what I found more comfortable, so the bridge top right here. So when you place the bridge, the top portion here, more towards the front, it gives you better comfort. And all the drivers seems to be better located for your ears to hear the surround sound effect. And after a while, it seems more comfortable this way. So at first, it's odd compared to my other headset here, which is an old Koss brand. So this goes straight on top. You have the bridge going straight across your head here, and that's how you wear it. As here, you can see it goes forward. Goes forward compared to the old one. And if you compare the size of the headset, the earbuds, it's gonna hard to show you the difference here. Put one by side, so they're fairly large. So much bigger, but that means it also covers around your ear. But for those with much bigger ears, they might feel more discomfort because the cushion presses on your ear, which after a while it gets sore. So remember, put the ridge closer to your forehead, like this. And this is generally what it is. After a while, I found to be very sore because of the pressure on your ears, and depending on the game you play, the bass and certain frequencies tend to cause ache to your ears. And that's one thing I don't like about the software, is that you don't have any settings to adjust those settings here. So it'd be nice to have maybe a settings to adjust, let's say, for certain frequencies not to run certain frequencies that could damage your ear. So you can adjust like the bass treble, but that's not the type of settings I'm looking for. I'm looking for more of a setting that it has maybe like a wavelength, and then you'll see the ones certain noise that can be disabled, kind of like an MP3, where certain noises are disabled. Middle of your ear can cap them, it can still damage your ear.